Hey y'all, so I want to record this video before I go to sleep. I haven't been posting lately because I have been disenchanted like the rest of the nation and possibly the world with mass shootings. I was going to cover the Buffalo mass shooting, and before I even literally finished wrapping up, then came the Uvalde shooting, and then now we have this shooting in, what is it, Kansas or Missouri, of that pregnant woman who was shot 5 times. So yeah, but I want to talk about nihilism, which is not too far off from the topic of mass shootings. Now, my original video, I was going off, I was in my feelings, I was just wreaking havoc. But with the shooting after shooting after shooting, and it's not nothing new. Like, there's been Sandy Hook, there was the movie shooting theater, there was the Virginia Tech student. Like, these are not new. None of this is new. Not even the school shooting aspects is new. Nothing. None of it is new. But I want to talk about the point of nihilism, because that's a term that's, I guess, the new narcissism. Everything is nihilism, as opposed to just what before the pandemic, everybody was a narcissist. You're a narcissist, she's a narcissist, they're a narcissist, narcissists everywhere. Now the new term is nihilism. So nihilism, and I will be obviously pulling up the dictionary definition of nihilism, but nonetheless, nihilism means to not believe in anything. It's not someone who has a chip on their shoulder. It's not someone who is anthropic. So this would be someone who hates humanity, has great disdain for humanity. Anthropic. That's not what nihilism means. It's not someone who is depressed and antisocial. That's not what nihilism means. Nihilism simply means to not believe in anything. And I know for some people it's hard to conceptualize because we live in a society where you have to believe in something, right? Literally, right, left, up, down, black, white. We're all picking sides, picking teams. But what happens when you're not just a doomer? You're far, far, far deep into the rabbit hole of despair, where you're a nihilist, where nothing matters. Whether you live, whether you die, whether today is Tuesday or it's just some goddamn day where the sun is up, because the days are just meshing into each other. It's just one big blurry thing, season, moment. You don't know what is. You don't even know how to conceptualize time. It's just this one hazy, repetitive motion. And that is something I think a lot of people are not taking seriously. Now, it's cute to throw around the terms mental illness and mental health, especially when we're not going to do anything to increase the material goods of people's life. We're not increasing people's material lives. We're not doing anything about the gas inflation. We're not doing anything about the grocery store prices. I was just thinking to myself how, if you're a bottled water purchaser, you probably have noticed pre-pandemic, a case of water would be like about 40 bottles per case. I've noticed that since the pandemic, it has decreased to 24. Now, riddle me how water has decreased, but it's ever so present. Nothing about the pandemic should have disturbed or discontinued or caused some type of supply chain disruption that 40 turns into 24, but it's the same price. Water is still water. Now, don't get it twisted. With climate change, there will be water wars where countries will literally fight other countries for the precious, rare, life-sustaining benefits of water.
And here's the other thing, because I also, I'm in a lot of meetings on foreign policy. For years and generations, wars have been fought over oil. In a short matter of time, they will be fought over water. So when we think about building up our economy around our infrastructure on something like water policy, It's literally about jobs. It's about the fundamental source of life.
Right? Fresh water, which is very small on this earth in general, and with climate change, it will even be more rare. But for the meantime and between time, Poland Springs had no reason to decrease its bottles per case. It did that because it simply can. And a lot of people are realizing how much power they lack in this life, especially under this imperialist, colonizing, white supremacist system that is called American capitalism. A lot of people are realizing that as a parent, you're here to protect for your kids, provide for your kids, be your kids' best support ally, and you can't even make sure that your kids go to school and they'll return home in one fucking piece. You can't even guarantee that. Adults are realizing that no matter how hard they try, no matter what degrees they get, no matter what job merit that they achieve, no matter how much time and dedication and skill they put into the role, at the end of the day, if the boss is only going to pay you $17.95, then they're going to just pay you $17.95. It does not matter how much work you put into it, how tenacious you are, how much of an expert you are. You don't cut your own checks. So therefore, you will always be on the receiving end of the bare minimum, if that. People are realizing that, rent is astronomical and home ownership is just a fantasy. I can't tell you how many homeless people I've seen. Like, it's suddenly increased. Yes, from childhood, I remember. But now I'm seeing a lot more young people who are homeless. People my age, millennials, young men. And recently there has been an uptick in the Boston area where I live of young college men drugging the drinks of young women so they can sexually take advantage of them. Kind of like Cosby with the Spanish fly. So that's returning because a lot of these men are not able to meet the capitalist gaze. They are not quote unquote successful alpha, Brad, Chad, high quality, high value men. So because they are disenchanted, because they're being crushed by this economic system, and a lot of young people aren't having sex like they used to. Like, don't let the rap songs fool you. A lot of people are savagely lonely. So because a jerk circle can only do so much for you, Pornhub could only do so much for you, now they're resorting to drugging women. That's not to make an excuse for them. That's not to victimize them. That's to show you how off-kiltered their brains are and how far they're willing to go in this capitalist system. We're seeing that nations who are suffering with these sanctions and these food insecurities, they're going back to the good old days of selling off women and children, and particularly young prepubescent girls. The same Afghanistan women and girls that the United States media was so worried about are now not giving not one, not two, not three fucks about these same young Afghani girls who are now being sold as child brides. So we're seeing just a lot of despair with climate change, with all this destruction. It back to work. Police is just gunning kids, making kid sacrifices, back to work. Pregnant women are getting gunned down by the police, back to work. Inflation's up the ass, back to work. Rent is unachievable, back to work. It's just repetitive. One big blur of the same old, same old. Even the culture war shit ain't even working anymore. I saw some politician in Texas, black, very much of a MAGA hat black. And he was speaking to the crowd who was just like, we want gun control. People from Texas, they were like, no, we're tired of this shit. Like, these kids should not have been sacrifices. And I kid you not, this politician was just very blasé. Just very much like it was a game show. Very much like it's I'll take your questions. Oh, yeah, well, you gotta let me talk. And you know what? I believe in my Second Amendment. It was just very much like a game, a sport. Like, it was just personality. It's no different than watching a reality show.
You're right. I said you're right. Now, let me say this. I am very concerned about violence like anybody else is. and there's zero tolerance for violence.
Thank you.
Right?
Sir.
My name is Vernon Jones. I'm from Georgia.
Okay, Vernon.
And I'm a Second Amendment defender and protector.
We don't want an assault weapon. We don't want an assault weapon. We don't want an assault weapon. We don't want an assault weapon.
Okay, so guess what, Mr. Vernon? My name is Vernon. My name is Robb. I'm with the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. I'm an accountability chair in Montgomery County. I have a 6-year-old grandson. I have a 28-year-old son. I have a 15-year-old daughter. And I have a 13-year-old daughter. I am former law enforcement. I am trained with these weapons. But let me tell you something. The moment I have to stop and think that when I was in the police academy for a person that's 20 years old, by the time they are sworn in, they have to have been able to make their 21st birthday. In order for my kid, that's 28 now, he had to be 21 to buy alcohol. But guess what?
And 18 to vote.
And guess what?
Right.
We're talking, wait a minute. My point right now is that that kid that was 18 years old that went in there and killed all of those babies. Why is it that the NRA,
don't yell at me,
why is it that the NRA is steady funding money to state representatives instead of going back? I'm not anti-gun. I'm not finished. I'm not finished yet.
Well, you can't have a commentary all afternoon. I want to talk about this.
Hold on. We got
let
me finish. What we're not going to do, we're going to fix the gun laws. I'm not anti-gun. I'm anti-people that don't need to have those guns. Those are 18-year-olds who don't mentally have enough sense in order for them to know that when you pull a gun, that you're supposed to use it. And if you're not...
I got your point. Now, let me respond. Let me respond.
Go ahead.
Let's be clear about something. There is zero tolerance for violence. There are those over 18 who have not responsibly utilized guns. In Chicago, from Chicago to Atlanta to New York to Baltimore, young black babies, boys and girls, are being shot down every weekend. Now, what I like to see is the same kind of damn demonstration going on there that's going on here. Is that fair? Is that fair? No, wait a minute. Is that fair? Because a life is a life. Is that not fair? So, now, let me go to somebody else. Let me go to this young lady right here.
I'm educated. I should not have an 18-year-old able to get access to an assault weapon. That's all. We have teachers like me that are afraid.
Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that?
But I want you to know, bear your arms.
I think, you know what?
Can we agree on the 18-year-old?
I think a lot of things 18-year-olds shouldn't have.
Thank you.
I don't think 6 and 7-year-olds should be pushed towards gender identity. A lot of things. We don't talk. Let's talk. You say what you want to say. I'm gonna say what I want to say. So there are a lot of things children shouldn't be subjected to. Am I not? So a lot of things. So you know what? Let's have a conversation. So you know what? Can I tell you what you just said was how you feel? And let me be clear about this. It's worth me thinking about what you just said, and I will.
18-years-olds are not allowed.
My thing is, being transgender don't kill you. But guns.
Hold on.
Let's not get to the subject. Let's talk guns.
No. But no, I'm talking about, let me talk now. I'm talking about, when we're talking about young people and children, then let's go across the board now. Let's go across the board. Now. Again, do you not agree that babies, young black boys, young black girls are shot down every weekend by black people?
We agree.
And you don't see these rallies. Do you see these rallies? No, you don't. No, you don't. When in Atlanta, Georgia, when an 8-year-old baby girl was shot through the car and killed, when that 1-year-old baby girl in New York was shot and killed in a stroller, Where was the outrage? So all I'm just saying, if we care about lives, hold on now. If we care about lives, then let's care about all
your
lives.
views are hypocritical, Mr. Dawes. Mr. Dawes, you are hypocritical. No, Mr. Dawes, your views are hypocritical. You don't want to admit that. What you're talking to me? You don't want to admit that. Let me answer my question. You
can answer your question.
I'm going to answer my question.
Answer your question.
You don't want to admit the fact that the NRA has people like you, state legislators, our U.S. representatives, our senators, they got them in their pockets. You don't want to.
They're not in my pocket.
They're in your pockets.
Wait, hold on. Now you're yelling. But if the NRA, wait, hold on. The NRA is the first civil rights organization ever founded. The NRA. A lot of black folks. I came out of that building.
You came out that building, guess what? Just because you black,
so now it's about race?
You made it there. And I'm going to let you know something. Our black folks ain't our skin folks ain't over.
So I'm going to go to you now. Because I'm an NRA member, and I'm not going nowhere, and I'm going to defend myself. I love the NRA, and I'm not backing down. But we need more God. We need more God in Zakira's lives. That's what we need. More God in Zakira's lives. It ain't the gun, it's the God. There you go. That's what we need. Now what's next? Who's next? Who's next? Okay, go ahead. Who's next? Now you had your...
I asked you a question. Where was the NRA when those kids were killed in Uvalde,
Where were you when that baby girl was shot down in Atlanta, Georgia? Where were you? Where are you? Now go ahead. Go ahead. What's your... 2 years ago.
I'm not born American. You're a traitor. You're a traitor to America. You're a traitor.
A lot more people killed than George Floyd. A lot of black police officers were killed too. We don't talk about that.
No, we support. I support.
Don't you agree? Black officers or no officer should be shot down in cold blood, right? Okay.
And guess what?
Nobody should.
No citizen should be shot by a police officer in the back of his head anyway, and he's running from a situation.
And no police officer should be shot either in the back of their head.
And guess what?
What's next? Listen. What's next? I love it. What's next?
Can I agree? Because you said you're open. Hey, wait a minute. 18-year-old, that's an 18 to 21, 18 to 25. No assault weapon should be. Buy assault weapon at that age, yeah. Can we agree that?
Well, here's what I agree. Here's what I agree to. I'll listen to what you said. If you feel as though that no one should have a gun, be able to purchase a gun at a certain age, I think that's something reasonable to consider. But I said that from the very beginning. Because I'm not.
Do you guys talk about that over there?
But I have a right to feel the way I feel too.
Sir, does your group?
So let's have a conversation.
Follow up. Do you guys talk about that inside? What you just said?
Did I
open regarding?
Oh, I've been saying that from.
No, not you. The group. Are you guys talking about maybe limiting an age on assault weapons?
Okay, there's a lot of women.
Let
me ask you a question. You want? Okay. I think a lot of people are having those conversations that are NRA members. I don't think they're immune from having those conversations.
But are you talking in the official convention? Is it brought up? Yes or no?
I just said there's a lot of conversation about how we can make sure that those who are irresponsible do not have access to those who are mental. There's a lot of issues out on the table. I agree that their conversation should be had. It's always good to have a conversation. Hold on one second. Because you're with CNN, controlling Negroes Network, and I know you're a game.
Hey, cut out the street. Cut out the street. Hey, come on. Cut out the blame game of the media.
Let him talk.
Hey, cut out the blame game of the media. That's an old trick. That's a trick that your friend West uses. We're sick and tired of it. Will you quit taking on the media? CNN.
You got a problem?
I got a problem because you
know what you are.
media.
No, I know what you are. You are
I am not going to let the liberal media tell me how to think.
You know what? You're not thinking.
See, you one of those liberals who don't want a black man to be able to have the ability to think for himself. See, you from that plantation, I'm not on your plantation.
Do you love households?
Let's not get
No, don't touch
I'm an independent. I don't represent Republican or Democrat. My thing is about people, and I feel like to bring protection to our schools, let's go ahead and add tax to these weapons, and we can use the money from the weapons and bullets to fund and pay veterans to guard our schools. That's my thing.
You know what? I think what you just said, when you look at those ex-military men and women, they're trained. They're great Americans. They serve this country. I think it's a great idea to see how we can forge a relationship between ex-military and working with the school system so we can make sure our schools are protected. And let me tell you, I come from a family of veterans, 4 brothers and my dad, so I understand what you just said. You're the kind of persons, and others too, that want to sit down or love to sit down, and currently sitting down having these conversations. But screaming and fighting and just yelling, that doesn't get us anywhere. So that's a good idea.
I'm not here.
So do you not agree that this is a good idea?
I agree with you.
That's a good idea, but that's just a tiny little step.
Next question.
Ban
This young lady right here. Ma'am?
I agree with you 100%. And I'm not here to change your mind about anything.
Thank you. I'm not here to change yours.
And I'm not here to change anything.
But I am here to listen. Nobody else came over here and talked. I came over and talked, right?
Yeah.
No, you got the camera. Not me, you got the camera.
You have your opinions on things. Everybody here has their opinions. This is an opinion. I'm not interested in listening to any of these adults. What I'm going to do is get a bunch of 12-year-olds together and ask them what they think the solution to the problem is. And I guarantee you, if I got 10 groups of 12-year-olds together across the country, they're all going to give me the same set of recommendations.
I don't think so. Let me tell you, I was born and reared on a farm. From day one, my mother and father taught me the importance and the responsibility of a firearm. We use it to hunt, to get food on our table. We use it to protect our property. When that fox came and hit that hen house, we lit them up like a Christmas tree. We knew where that gun was, and you don't touch that gun only for a certain reason. So guess what? I know a lot of young people right now, feel differently. So I don't think every 12-year-old you put in a room will have the same thought. And if they did, then something's not right. Because everybody should have their own independent thought. Okay, so now I'm asking you a question. Can I go to another one?
Mr. Dummy.
I don't have cards. You can find them. Now, wait a minute. I'll talk to you. Let's talk some more.
You say you want to talk to a veteran, Mr. Dummy.
What would you change?
You say you want to talk to a veteran, Mr. Dummy.
There's enough people here who say they want to see some sort of change.
Okay, now why don't you identify yourself? You're a reporter, right?
I'm a reporter.
Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Right.
So I'm just asking you, what would you want to see change? There are people here calling for change. This is what everybody's asking for.
And there are people in there who have an opinion as well.
Okay.
So why can't we respect theirs as well?
Where's the middle?
You got an opinion. Why can't they have an opinion?
Where's the middle ground here then?
Here's the middle ground. The middle ground is sit down and have constructive conversation.
It's too late for that.
Yeah, he said it's too late. But you know what? Now watch. Let's start right now. What time is it now?
Time for you to give up.
What time is it? Now watch this. It's 6:30. Let's see how many black kids are going to be shot down in Chicago and Baltimore by this time tomorrow afternoon. And I want you to see if any of these folks are going to be there protesting with those kids. So don't say it's too late. So when he says too late, it's not too late. No, I asked the question. Mr. Smith, and they use you to talk to me. So there's no control of the Negroes. So let's go. My question. Now, ma'am, now you've had opportunity. Now let somebody else. See, you know what? That's the problem. You just want attention. Now let's talk. Go ahead, Mr. Reporter.
What is the change you want to see? Are you for red flags? Are you for mental health? Are you for assault rifle ban? Which one are you?
Here's what I'm for. Here's what I'm for. Before we talk about banning anything, let's sit down and find out what the real issues are. There are some people who have some mental issues. Are we doing enough to address mental issues? That's a big part of it. Let's do that. So I'm sitting down. I'm open to things that are constructive. I'm open to things that are constructive, but I am not going to go off with a knee-jerk reaction. And when I see the hypocrites, they want to make an issue of this, but kids are being shot down every day, and nobody say a damn thing about it. Every day.
What change are you willing to make?
I don't know what change I'm willing to make. I'm willing to sit down and have those discussions.
You don't have one idea at all?
I got a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas. Sit down, let's have a conversation.
We've been having conversations. What's the one thing you want to say?
So wait a minute, we have New York City, Chicago has the most restricted gun laws. Is that not true? Now, hold on, let's be honest. Now, they have the most restricted gun laws. How many people get shot down a week in Chicago? No, answer my question for a change. Answer my question for a change, Mr. Reporter. Now, you know answer. You know me.
You and I know me. You're not going to do that.
Next question. Next question. You can't handle the truth. Yes, ma'am.
What message do you have for the families?
And you know what? You hit the nail on the head. To those family members who suffer this tragic loss, my heart goes out to you.
What are you going to do?
That has to be something that no parents should have to experience. So my heart goes out to my prayers, and I want all violence to stop. All violence. Why do we wait till an incident here, an incident there that makes the news every single night? By this time tomorrow, let's check and see how many are going to be killed in Chicago, Baltimore, New York, and let's see where we're going to see the outrage for that. Let's look at how many law enforcement officers are going to be shot. Let's look at it across the board. But my heart goes out to that family. Next question.
I want you to talk to the 12-year-old who had to put blood on her to stay alive because the gunman, so he wouldn't kill her. Explain that to the 12-year-old baby that put blood on her and laid on that floor and took that phone and called 911.
And you explain it to that mother who lost her 8-year-old baby girl shot down Atlanta through the car. You won't come nowhere near it. What you got? What you got? What you got?
What is it? What do you mean when you say
we're not talking about it?
Are you saying that more people have access to guns and the kids that are getting shot will not get shot in Atlanta?
No, what I'm saying is very simple. Taking away the Second Amendment is not going to solve this problem. New York City, Chicago have the most restrictive gun laws in the country, and they're still having shootings. But we also know people who have mental issues are having committed many of these crimes. Mental issues are part. I think we need to take a comprehensive approach. So let's see what, you know what, there's no one shot, there's no one bullet that can solve this problem. But what we need to do is get to have a conversation about how can we move to the next stage, what can we do? Because you and I both know legislation can't control what someone does. We have 2 strikes you out on the books right now. If you murder somebody, the second time you get life in prison. Somebody comes down, they still do it the second time. So you can't always control people's behavior. But what we can do is, how can we help these schools make these schools more safer?
Why do you think someone needs something? I'm not saying that people should have access to certain kinds of guns, but why do you think
he is pro-NRA? I am pro-NRA.
People that
Let me be clear. I am pro-NRA. I am
a United States veteran. People, this man will not talk to me. He's afraid to talk to me because this man.
What about the part of the second that says you're regulated? Talk to the veterans. Talk to people.
United States veteran.
I don't need now I'm talking about your question. What's your question? What is your question? Okay, what is your question?
I don't need to.
So he wouldn't have a question. You have any more questions?
You won't let me ask. You won't let me ask.
Ask the question then.
Sir, if I don't need to walk around with a damn assault weapon and I fought a bad for country, then why is it members like you that support these lobbyists that do this? You are supporting a lobbyist. You are supporting a.
See, now you won't let me answer. I'm not going to talk to him.
Because you are afraid of the truth. You are afraid of the Second Amendment.
What about the part of the Second Amendment that says well regulated?
It is well regulated. It is not well regulated in Chicago. It is not. It's not regulated in New York City. The most restrictive gun laws in the world. Yes, now you had a chance.
And no one sees how off kilter that is. The lack of seriousness, the lack of empathy, the lack of depth, the lack of rationale, because nothing matters. That's true nihilism. When you can discard human life because it was just an inconvenience. Where you can say 19 kids could be the sacrifice, I just got to get my kids. Police officers in Uvalde made sure to get their kids and let those other 19 kids be the sacrifice. One kid in particular who survived the massacre, he said that a police officer told one of the students in the classroom, if you need help, scream help. The little girl screamed help, and the shooter saw her and shot
They
her.
were just kids, most of them just 10 years old in the 4th grade.
Yeah, this morning we're learning more about those victims of what is the deadliest school shooting in state history. The 19 children who were killed include a 4th grader full of energy who, according to his father, was ready to play until nighttime, a 10-year-old who loved football and video games, and a little girl who wanted to go to law school just like her mother. The Uvalde community also mourning 2 teachers killed in that shooting, including one who was just named Teacher of the Year. So far, 20 of the 21 victims have been identified. You're looking at them right now. We've learned they were all in the same 4th grade classroom when they were murdered. Somehow, several of their classmates survived. Our Gochi Iloka joins us now with one little boy's story.
Gochi, this is a story that's very difficult to hear.
Kimberly and David really is. And this Bray, the 4th grader, says that they were just watching a movie right after PE class when his teacher yells, "Turn off the TV, we're going on lockdown." Next thing you know, gunshots rang. Now, his parents actually didn't want him to go on camera, this 4th grader, but he insisted. He wanted to share the details of the nightmare that happened Tuesday. Take a listen.
Came in, he says, "It's time to die." And when I heard the shooting through the door, I told my friend to hide under something so he won't find us. And when he shot everybody, he shot both of my teachers, and my teacher fell onto the ground.
He says that his teachers, Miss Irma Garcia and Miss Eva Morales, saved their lives. The boy went on to say a girl tried to call police, but when the shooter heard her, he shot her. Cops barged into the classroom, according to him, and a shootout followed. He says police then called out, telling kids to yell, "Help if you need help." The boy says the shooter then killed her, and all of his and several other kids in the classroom hid.
There's a table and there's a black curtain on top, and then I told my friend to hide under there, and then one of my classmates got shot 5 times, but when the cops came into our classroom, he said, "Oh my God," when he saw all the dead bodies and blood.
Yeah, this boy and several others made it out alive, and it's a miracle some others actually survived all of this. Our hearts just aches in terms of what this child and the others have been through that day. Yeah. You know, as a mom, you think you send your child to school hoping they'll make it back home, and sadly, this did not happen for so many people.
Something we as parents, Ugochi, would never want to think about, but what a brave young boy speaking to the media just a day after that shooting.
So police are getting kids killed out in these streets and in the school. So the belief, the mythos, the propaganda of propaganda. The police are on your side. The police are the good guys. They bust through. They're so brave. Boys in blue lives matter. And now we're starting to see like, oh, so the motherfuckers don't really care. Like, we was okay with them shooting up black folks. It is what it is. We're okay with them sacrificing black kids. It is what it is. But I think what really, really shocked the foundation of the fuckery that is the police state is the real-time live streaming, right? We got this technology. It's powerful to a degree used in a particular circumstance. The way the parents were able to show their duress and their distress, but also show the total and complete indifference of the police, to the point that the same Uvalde police that would not go into that school to prevent more kids from being shot was the same Uvalde police that arrested the parents who were trying to get their kids from the school. They were ready to put the S on their chest, put a cape on their back to save kids. But the police officers in Uvalde, who has access to 40% of the city's fiscal budget, so 40% of that district, of that city's budget for the year goes to the police. And this is what you get for your return in investment. I think the ability to see it in real time, how the parents were treated, the massacre of 19 kids and 2 teachers. Might I add, 2 teachers, 2 women teachers. I'm seeing a pattern. A lot of these male shooters are males, but their victims are women. Let's take it back to the Buffalo shooting at Tops grocery store. Most people who do the shopping for the household are women. Whether it's the mother, whether it's the girlfriend, whether it's the wife, whether it's the baby mama, it's usually the women who do the grocery store purchasing, because it's usually the women who are responsible for the nutrition, for the cooking, for the buying, the purchasing, for the storing of the food. Is usually deemed a woman thing. It's a woman upkeeping the household. It's woman's duties, right? Cook, clean, barefoot and pregnant. Like, it is usually pushed off to as woman's work, woman's labor, gender roles. So when the shooter not only in Buffalo targeted that grocery store because it was black, he also targeted because he knew most of those people who were in there weren't going to be armed, and they were also going to be sitting ducks because they were women. And most gun owners are not women. In fact, most women don't have that self-defense ability. A lot of women, they have to go to self-defense class trainings or become armed in gun ownership or things of that nature. Most times and not, women don't have that instinctual, like Kim Possible type shit. Like, that's not something that comes to women. And then you see with the Uvalde shooting, most educators, especially when we're talking about young children, elementary school children, the educators are women, primarily women. Whether we're talking about the teachers, the homeroom teachers, the nurses, usually which you'll find male-ish or more males in that particular position are either gym teachers, maybe the music teacher, maybe the art teacher, but usually primarily it's a lot of women. So not only are these shooters attacking people of all races, and we've seen with the Tops and the Uvalde, the victims have been people of color, but nonetheless, you're seeing that they are targeting those who are vulnerable, those who are young, those who are minorities, and those who are women. Now, some people might ask, well, what would drive a 18-year-old just turned 18 to go into a school and start shooting a school? Well, why else would someone do something like that? Like, let's think about it. Let's peel it back. People have made the actual point of school shooting drills, school shooter drills, active shooter drills have been going on for so long that the new school shooters, the new mass shooters have gone through these school drills. So it's not an outside force trying to attack these schools. It's the students from within. And teachers don't get paid enough, and they are overworked to now have to be catching bullets or having to get armed in gun ownership to teach a class. Like, hell no. It's funny because pre-pandemic, y'all was talking about how teachers ain't shit. They don't really do much for the students. They are lacklusters. They are predators. And some of them have been predators. Don't get it twisted. Some of these white women were really out here throwing they used twats on these young ass boys. Don't get it twisted now. That definitely was happening. But a lot of y'all were expecting way too much from teachers and dismissing the art, the gift, the act of service of teaching. Now, after the pandemic, it's like, teachers, there's such a rare novelty. Please come back. And now we have to come back to catch bullets? Absolutely not. Why would an 18-year-old want to commit such a heinous act? Yes, America is violent. Yes, America has a very big gun culture. Yes, yes, yes. Propaganda, Oftentimes, guns have been used as a measurement of a man's manhood, in particular, where I guess it matters between his legs. So oftentimes people will say men symbolically use a gun as a way to brag about his libido, to use that as some type of measurement of his penis size. Whether you believe it or not, the point is that this is a gun-happy, gun-trigger-happy culture. You could see it through the active shooter games that are in the video game industry. How many video games that are education based or just non-shooter, non-violent, non-Call of Duty, non-Sims, non-Grand Theft Auto-y? Like, how many video games where it's not someone or some entity, because it doesn't have to be a human, it could be some type of creature that isn't being blown away, that isn't being overcame, that isn't being trumped, that isn't being violently taken over, what games? How many games? Let's ratio that shit out. And then with the video games, even if your character's intent in the game isn't necessarily to do harm, what is the backtrack to these video games? It's the same niggatry that you hear on Power 105 or on the Breakfast Club. It's the same nigga shit. Shoot 'em up, bang, bang. Like, gun culture is so normalized. But then again, the death culture in the United States is so normalized. Everything can just be so blasé. Death is blasé. Shoot a nigga up. I kill a nigga. I hate niggas. I hate these niggas more than the Nazis. I hate these niggas. Like, it's just very blasé. Death is very blasé. Being a murderer is very blasé. It's cute. It's funny. It's wordplay. Blasé. Human life, blasé. But then again, when you come from the imperial core, what is human life but a casualty? So $2.2 trillion wasted on a useless war. Millions of brown and black people murdered from sea to shining sea. But at least I got a discount. But at least I get to participate in fast fashion. At least I get to participate in these new expensive gadgets that are dated for planned obsolescence. At least I get to stunt on the gram. We make these concessions all the time. Right? We conceptualize, we box in, we rationalize the irrational all the time, right? So what would bring a 18-year-old to commit such an heinous act? Nihilism, where you just don't care. There's no now, there's no tomorrow, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just whatever. No different when there's pandemonium. No different than when there's war. Hello. Nihilism. No one says, ooh, I wish the war would come through so there'd be great transformation. So there'll be just all this wisdom and ascension, all this community. No one in life has ever, not even during the times where the technology was sticks and stones, have people ever thought that war brought unity. But again, when you can conceptualize the incomprehensible, then why can't you rationalize nihilism? Why can't you rationalize mass shootings? Why not? Why not? If we could be on the edge of climate catastrophe and still be looking to pump oil, what's the problem? Right? Well, we could talk about grab her by the pussy and make grab her by the pussy.
I did try and fuck her. She was married.
Huge news, Sarah.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages. And I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where they have some nice furniture. I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch. But I couldn't get there. And she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
Jeez, your girl's hot as shit. In the purple.
Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa!
Yes, the Donald has scored!
Whoa!
Oh, my man! Wait, you gotta look at me when you get out. You're like,
set this up. That is very.
Will you give me the thumbs up?
You are a
You gotta put the thumbs up. You gotta get the thumbs up. Can't be too happy.
else off first? Yeah, let me. It's very. Maybe it's a different one.
Better not be the publicist. No, it's her.
Yeah, that's her with the gold. I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just like, I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
his legs. All I can see is the legs.
No, it looks good.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, nice legs, huh?
Oof. Get out of the way, honey. That's good legs. Go ahead.
It's always good if you don't fall out of the bus. Like Ford, Gerald Ford, remember?
Down below. Pull the hand.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
It's an honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Did I get that one right?
Chief Justice Roberts, President Carter, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, fellow Americans, and people of the world, thank you. We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our country and restore its promise for all of our people.
President, what's the problem? When we can have two rapists as the SCOTUS presiding over abortion rights and just women's rights in general, why the fuck not? Right? We live in an upside down world. What is wrong is right. What is up is down. So why not? Why not? Why fake the funk of having morality? Why fake the funk of having dignity? Why fake the funk of having standards? Everything's for the bot. Capitalism, everything's for the fact that, okay, Jeffrey Epstein was doing what he was doing, and we know his rich, wealthy, status-driven associates who've been to his island, and it wasn't for the fucking view, bitch. And we know these people. We know their connections. The fact that we saw Bill Gates' ex-wife twisting and turning in her chair, not saying a whole bunch of nothing, that her ex-husband was real chummy with a fucking international child predator, and we just like, yeah, but, why the fuck not? Nihilism. That's true nihilism, when you sincerely and truly don't give a fuck. And anything is fair game, even shooting an elementary school. You're going to see worse and much, much worse. Real social decline. Shit that you heard and read in textbooks of ancient this and the third societies. This is what's happening. There's no news flash. Back in those days, even though they didn't have television or the internet or the telephone, there was no news flashes back then either. No one carved anything in a fucking rock and said, hey, these are the signs of the decayed society. You just started seeing things, feeling things, started getting harder. Simple things that were easy to obtain are seeming like luxuries. Luxuries are seeming more like fantasies. That's the current state. And those are signs of society being in decline. And don't think that mass shootings are somehow any different, because as opposed to this era's mass shooting, back in the ancient Greek society, ancient Roman society, signs of decay were men out here in these streets graping without the G, men and boys full on in the middle of the street, like right in the middle of Times Square, like something like that. And not just one, multiple, like a pack of N-words that well, what's y'all's favorite actor? What's his name? The one who played Jesus? Mel Gibson. Just like Mel Gibson said, with his racist ass. And he only got canceled because he offended the Jews. How about that? But, like a pack, a grape pack without the G. You're going to start seeing that. You're going to start seeing a lot more women's right getting repealed. Now, a lot of these hoes was pick-me's, and I was out here telling you, don't be a pick-me. It's not a privilege. It's not a golden calf status. It does nothing to benefit you or the cause of women. Now, all these pick-me's out here who love talking about how they got chosen and how they won and they got the bag, this, that, and the third. But the repealing of women's rights affects all of us. Even the chosen women, even the ones who live behind gated communities and live on top of the shiny hill. You too are a woman, and you too will find yourself subjugated and oppressed. Whether you are a June or a Serena or an Aunt Lydia. Patriarchy makes no concessions for women. Ask Hillary. She's still pissy that the boys' crew won't put her on to presidential. Right? We're going to see a lot more of these LGBTQ who was loud with their chest being racist. Now they're going to start seeing that homophobe tide is turning right back around. Now you're going to see a lot more people very flagrant with the F word. The same small concessions that we thought that we won with the voting rights in this and the third, and it was never codified. They always dangled it in front of our faces, made it seem like there was progress and change, but they never codified it. They never made it law. And that was purposely done. So now that people are seeing the facade of neoliberalism, people are seeing the facade of capitalism, it's like, all right, now y'all want to act up? Now we're going to crush you into submission. And we're going to arm the police to continue to crush you into submission. And if that doesn't work, then we'll try other tricks that we were comfortable with the United States doing to foreign nations. Venezuela, Chile, Haiti, whatever. We were comfortable with the United States doing it to foreign people. The same tactics are coming back home. As the prophetic master teacher, Malcolm X said himself, the chicken's coming back to roost. The same tactics that the corporations did to other nations, they're going to come back and do it to us.
Malcolm X, you were involved in a controversy some months ago with your leader. Is that over?
Well, I've been silent for the past 90 days because of some statements I made concerning the President of the United States, which were distorted. They were distorted. And yes. And
what did you say, Malcolm?
Well, I said the same thing that everybody says, that his assassination was the result of the climate of hate. But only I said the chickens came home to roost, and which means the same thing. Climate of hate means that this is the result of something. And when I said chickens coming home to roost, I said the same thing.
But you did not say that you were glad the president was killed.
No, that's what the press said. What would I look like saying that I'm glad the president was killed?
Malcolm, this was your first public statement in that 90-day period, is it not?
First time I opened up my mouth in 90 days. That's why I'm talking so fast and so hearty.
You feel, however, that we're making progress.
No. I will never say that progress is being made. Knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches. There's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
And don't be surprised that some of these villains in these media streets out here doing mass shootings, if you peel back, they might be FBI. They might be CIA. They might have a connection. They might be an agent. Who knows? Who knows? And don't discard the thought. A lot of blacks out here was out here talking about Barack Obama was the second coming of Christ, that he was the black messiah. And what did he do besides bomb Somalia and take your grandmommy's generational home back? Now the same kids who are homeless in these streets don't even have a house to bounce back to. Can't even live in the shed of their parents' homes because probably their parents' home got in the 2008 financial crash that ironically crushed the middle class, but didn't crush Wall Street, who fucked up the middle class on purpose. When you start realizing the hellscape that is America, that is capitalism, that is colonization, that is imperialism, that is climate change, that is all of these things that make life so hard to live, to exist, to thrive, why wouldn't you be nihilistic? Again, not an excuse, but an understanding. Because that's what we lack, understanding. Look at them folks in Texas. They either lost a kid or lost a potential community member, a potential contributor to Texan history. Life that was never lived. Life that was never explored. Identity that was never discovered, never cultivated. They are pissed. And what are their politicians telling them? Besides giving them lip service, telling them that the NRA is here to stay, and that the Second Amendment, the way it is just that on that. And don't get it twisted, because I'm not on the other side that says, oh, take away all the guns because, you can trust a police state. It's not like they hunt down their own citizens. It's not like we have political prisoners. It's not like we live in a police state that the incarceration system works perfectly fine. It's everybody who's in prison, none of them are innocent. Of course. So of course I'd be okay with the government taking away our defense, our ammo as Americans. Of course. Of course. That's for the people who just recognize my channel and just recognize my video. That was me being sarcastic. I don't know if that came across in the video, but that was very sarcastic. Of course the fuck not. I would not be okay with us being sitting ducks for the fucking SWAT team. Like, get the fuck out of here. Of course not. But let's also not act like there aren't people who are tapped out of their minds, and those who are insidious, and those who work for the state who have no problems going brrr at all of us. Whether it's due to them truly being nihilistic, or because someone's buttering their bread, someone's eating a slab of fat back and biscuits, someone is putting some checks in somebody's account, however you want to call it. Someone's benefiting. So my best advice is to communalize, to come together, to organize. My number one off-dome, quick answer without me being nuanced, because that would be panacea, right? This isn't a one answer fits all, a one general broad stroke answer or remedy, right? This is a multi-pronged issue on many levels, and it's not even just an American thing. It is a society. It is a global. It is white supremacy. It is capitalism. It is exploitation. It is imperialism. It is climate change. It is gun violence. It is everything. Because this is the conditions of the human experience. And it's up to us humans as a collective to change said experience. My suggestion would be a general strike. Because this is a country that is amoral. We see it clear as day. Clear as day. No one's confused about anything. No one's confused about the police state at this point. No one's confused about politics at this point. Whether you vote Democrat, whether you vote Republican. The first time in this nation, voters are identifying as independent. Not blue, not red, but independent. Because they are so disenchanted by the system. So no one is confused what it is. Everybody sees it. No more rose-colored glasses, bitch. Them shits fell, they cracked, and you see clearly in 4K what the fuck is going on. So no one is confused at this point. So the question becomes, what are we, the proletariat? What are we, the working class? What are we, the everyday people, going to do about it? Because pleading to the emotions didn't do shit, okay? And it's not going to do shit. Because in this corporation that is called the United States, it don't give a shit about shit unless you're talking about money. And since we don't collectively have the money, and even if we did, in this capitalist system, they'll just find someone with a bigger check. And the problems would never actually end. It would just be more money thrown at the problem. Kind of like Joe Biden in the police state, just throwing more money. Because that's the issue. Not the fact that they're criminals. Not the fact that they abuse their power. Not the fact that they are unaccountable. Not the fact that they are homegrown terrorists. No. Just throw more money at it. Because that's solving the issue, right? Taking that money to buy military grade weaponry and surveillance technology. But yeah, throw more money. That's the solution. No, obviously, that's not the solution. That's not working out. Because it's us, the everyday people, who are going to inherit the earth that is climate disaster. We don't got no private jet to fly to this, down the third coast when things get testy for us. We don't got submarines. If we underwater, at least we got somewhere to call a home. It is us, the everyday people, who will inherit all the fuckery that is post-capitalism.
Your hands on. Instead of stocking your shelves, this luxury doomsday bunker built inside an old missile silo comes with its shelves fully stocked. And that's not even the best part.
With the doomsday clock 100 seconds to midnight, this is Mansion Global.
It's no secret that the pandemic opened our eyes to just how quickly life as we know it can change.
Doomsday could be looming. Are you ready for it? People across the world dubbed doomsday preppers are already preparing if the world caves in. And while they're stocking up on food and water, I've got a different plan for you.
End-of-the-world jitters have triggered a boom in perhaps the most niche market in all of real estate: luxury doomsday shelters.
There are communities out there where you can wait out catastrophic events with luxury and relative ease.
And this niche market attracts a niche buyer, someone wanting to prepare for the worst, but plan for the best. And here on Mansion Global, we're all about the best, even in the worst case scenario. Just because you're riding out the apocalypse doesn't mean you can't do it in style.
That's why I'm in Kansas. Somewhere in the Sunflower State, there's a gated community whose roots run deep.
I can't tell you exactly where because that's classified information, but what I can tell you is that I'm a long way away from just about anywhere else. And with that seclusion comes security.
How much does safety cost? Well, they're putting a price tag on it here. 54,000 square feet, 15 floors, and it's all right beneath my boots. Welcome to...
This is far from an ordinary listing. Through these 50-ton blast doors is your end times hideaway. It's a 15-floor, multi-unit community inside a converted nuclear missile silo. Built during the hottest phase of the Cold War, it was designed to withstand a direct nuclear strike with 9-foot-thick, hardened concrete walls reaching nearly 200 feet underground. The missile's been replaced by 54,000 square feet of private and shared living space, split between 15 floors and supplied to shelter 75 people for 5 years. Larry Hall is the developer.
Larry, I know we can't disclose this exact location. Where are we, and why did you pick Central Kansas?
The answer is we picked the best of the available missile silos that were nuclear hardened so that we could convert them into the luxury, state-of-the-art bunkers that they are today. It's a great physical location. We're at about 1,650 feet above sea level here. So even if every ice cube on the planet melted, we've still got 1,000 foot of clearance.
There are other factors, though, that could affect you, like a bomb. What happens?
Well, that's the beauty of starting with a nuclear hardened facility. So unless your bomb is more than a 20 kiloton nuclear bomb, we're covered. Check that one.
Dropped directly on top.
Direct hit.
And no one can break this down. No one can get in here. You guys can't be stormed.
This place can withstand a 2,000 mile an hour shockwave and keep functioning.
Normal, as
So
normal.
what is your shotgun and your Molotov cocktail going to do? Not a lot.
Take me through the inventory you have and what you'll find inside those units.
Well, there's a total of 14 units here, and we now have 3 units available for sale. We have a $500,000 unit. It's like a typical hotel room. We have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit that's $1.2 million. And we have a full floor, 1,850 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit at $2.4 million. Those are the only units I have available.
And you're appealing to everyone in America. The central location has to be a good selling point, no?
We're equidistant from both coasts, and we have people from the four corners of the United States, from as far south as Miami and up in the New England area, and Seattle, Washington, and California. So we've got it covered.
Do you think the demand is there even more so post-pandemic than it was pre-pandemic?
I do. I think that there's more people aware of how quickly the world can change. All the same hotbeds still exist, and now people are just like, wow, I need one of these.
It's usually that time on Mansion Global when we talk about beds, baths, and all those luxe amenities inside a listing. But this is no ordinary listing. The silo was one of 72 built in the early 1960s and was where U.S. Strategic Command placed its vanguard of nuclear-armed Atlas missiles. Due to their importance as a deterrent against any Soviet first strike, the silos were designed to withstand a direct hit from a 20-kiloton atomic blast. The survival condos built to shelter 75 people for as long as 5 years. That means providing enough for all those hungry mouths, which is why this luxury enclave includes this high-tech indoor farm.
We've got different kinds of tomatoes, all types of peppers and cucumbers and celery, and there's 3 kinds of Swiss chards, and there's every color of pepper, there's blueberries, there's strawberries, there's 9 kinds of lettuce. I didn't know there were that many kinds. It turns out there's even way more than that, but we got 9.
Other post-apocalyptic amenities include a self-contained power grid, military-grade water purifiers, and a weapons rack. That's just for survival. Want to see what takes this shelter over the top? That's coming up.
So we got to figure out what the next chapter looks like for us collectively, not just us Americans, us, the working class globally, because it's not just us. Again, the same shit we was comfortable with the United States doing to the global South is now happening to us. And now we're seeing that, yeah, it pretty much sucks to be exploited. Gasp. So now we see what it is. We got to work as a collective because we all going to be hurting. So we got to make sure that we see another paradigm. What does housing look like post-capitalism? What does agriculture look like post-capitalism? What does community and social ties look like post-capitalism? What does medical access look like post-capitalism? These are the things that we should be thinking about now because we're feeling the crunch now. And that is what is leading to real nihilism. But y'all let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. I don't want to be too preachy about it, but I also don't want to be too doom and gloom, but I also don't want to like sugarcoat shit because this is literally the beginning of the end. And the sad thing about it is like, especially for my generation, millennials, there's always this like dark cloud over us since like 9/11. Like we've experienced 9/11 that cut our childhood short. We've experienced the housing crisis that cut our like teenage sense of security short. And we went through the hardship of like 2014 trying to find a like legitimate job and, you know, college debt. It's like one wave after another wave of like heartaches and hardships and setbacks. But honestly, that really is the marking of our generation. The golden years of middle class, idealistic fantasy was never going to be in our reach. If you look back when it came to NAFTA, when it came to the deindustrialization of certain areas like the Rust Belt, when you look at these financial and these foreign policy decisions that were made during and more so pre-millennials, but like around like the early 90s, you kind of could see the building blocks to what we are now inherited with. And if you can make those connections, you're not surprised why people are very nihilistic, especially the generation that is the millennials and the generation prior. So we really have nothing to lose. So that should be enough on top of everything bad we have to inherit to motivate us to do better, especially you parents. And I say you parents because I'm not a parent. You parents, y'all already invested just by the fact that you got a mini you. So you have to do something. And with that being said, y'all, and I shall see you in the next video. Peace.